We're starting the introduction on OBS.
We are not doctors. Nothing in this podcast should be taken as medical advice. Consult your physician before starting any workout routine. This is the Martial Heart Podcast.
And hey, how's everybody doing? Welcome back to the Martial Heart Podcast. And it's been a few days. Look around. There's been some changes. We've been working on the room. We still have some work to do, but we're getting there. We have some things on the wall. They're all pretty colors, and it'll look okay. I have some sound panels that I built that we're going to put in. I have to figure out precisely where to put them in. You might actually be hearing a little bit of an echo right now. So, anyhow, because we're not done. But we got it. This is what we're doing. And I think it's going to look okay. I think it looks pretty cool. And I have a redundancy going again, just in case something happens. And I've got the behind-the-scenes cam. Hey, check it out. Check out this shirt. Yeah. Anyway, it's another view of the things we put on the wall. They're called, sound absorbing panels or whatever, but they're not. They do a little bit. They do a little. They're not real sound, absorbing or dampening, or some people call it soundproofing, but that's not what it is. Soundproofing blocks the sound going in or out, you know what I mean? This is just it's supposed to just reduce the echo. It does a little bit, but we knew when we got them that they were going to be primarily just decorative, that they might help, stop some of the echoing, some of the reverb that's going on in the room, but that's not really why we put them up. They'll help, but it's really just decorative. We wanted to get some colors on the wall since we painted the room all gray. We wanted to get some color in here. So it's coming along. I'm still trying to figure out where to put everything because I have all this stuff. I have all this equipment now that I have to figure out what to do with. You'll see me look over that way frequently because I'm looking at the screens, just double checking and just making sure that everything's recording again because I'm still hyper paranoid that we're going to lose it. And and this is the other dilemma, is because this is the PodTrack P4. This is what I was using. This has onboard recording. And it's an amazing thing. It has 4 XLR microphone inputs, 4 individual headphone outputs with individual volume knobs, individual gain on each channel, and each channel has an individual setting for just a dynamic microphone or for condenser microphones that require 48 volts of phantom power. You can switch them individually by channel. That's not common on a lot of audio interfaces. It might be separated by 2, and 2 of them you can turn on, the other 2 not. But usually on most of your audio interfaces, you hit phantom power and it turns it on all of your inputs. So, or at least all of your XLR microphone inputs. It's an amazing device, and it's not really that expensive. I bought this one used, but, it wasn't, you couldn't really tell it was used. But it has an annoying hiss. And it's a little disappointing. I've been trying to work it out. We have some sort of an interference going on in the house. That's something else that I'm trying to track down. But this has a hiss in it. Its self noise is a little annoying. So for now, I've switched back to the Behringer Euphoria UMC 204 HD, which, let's see, can you see it from the, let's see, that's this thing. I have it in this little cage, not because I'm trying to protect it, but because I wanted to put the little little microphone booster things and get it all arranged so that it would be neat and tidy. And so I improvised this little cabinet thing and drilled some holes in the back of it to accommodate the cording. But anyway, that's what that is. This is the Behringer UMC 204 HD. And it is, I got to tell you, it's an amazing audio interface. It has an incredibly low noise floor, which means if you turn everything else off, for those of you who don't know what any of these terms mean, I didn't either until I started doing a podcast and had to learn all this stuff. But your noise floor is the level of noise in your environment. So if I stop talking, whatever you can hear at whatever decibel, that's your noise floor. So that's the noise floor of your recording space. Self noise is the hissing or maybe a static sound or anything, a hum, anything like that that comes from the device itself. So you may have a microphone that has an annoying kind of hum to it, whether you're speaking into it or not. It might have a hiss to them. Most of them do. So you're not really going to find one that is perfectly clean with nothing, because everything is adding something into the chain. So you have the microphone, you have the cord, then you have the audio interface, and then you have the cabling from the audio interface into whatever other equipment you're running, and then you have the USB adapter that goes to the computer, and then the computer itself into your recording stuff. So throughout that chain, there's going to be things that might add a hiss or hum or a rumble or whatever to your recording. But self-noise is what that device itself is producing. And so that's what is kind of annoying me right now about the Zoom P4. But it's not a lot. I mean, most people are probably not even going to notice it, and there are ways to treat it in post-production, but you've heard me say it many, many times. I don't want to do anything in post-production. I just want to make a video or an audio recording and post it on the internet. I don't want all this other crap I've got to do. I'm not an audio engineer. I'm not one of those weirdo nerds who likes to sit in this room and do all the editing and everything. I'm not into that. I don't want to at all. I just want to record it, poof, out into the ether. So anyway, I might be able to resolve this. But the coolest thing about it is that it's portable. It can run on batteries. It doesn't have to be plugged into your computer or anything else. I think it's 2 AA batteries. It runs this thing for like 3 hours, even when you're recording. It's amazing. I love it. I really do love it. I just have to figure out a way to resolve the hiss and making sure that, and that could be a combination of things. It could be a combination of the preamps inside this, which produce 70 decibels of gain, which is a lot for an audio interface, especially something like this. And so it could be noisy preamps. It could be, noisy headphones, because the way it works, you plug your microphone into there, and then you also plug your headphones into here. So if you have hiss in your microphone amplifier, or hiss in your headphone amplifier rather, or a hiss that's inherent in your headphones themselves, that it can be coming from anywhere. So resolving that and figuring out what's happening with it, that'll happen eventually, because it's awesome. You can do onboard recording, and all the Zoom products. That's basically what they do. They make a variety of things now too for podcasting and studio use, but they kind of primarily build recorders, things that you can record your music or your radio program or whatever on. So they make an assortment of portable recorders and desktop units and all kinds of stuff. Now they make their own microphones and things like that too, so it's pretty cool. Anyway, I'll get that figured out. But that way I can make sure that I'm redundant with my recording. Currently, I'm running 2 programs on the computer that are both recording. And the only issue that's going to arise from that is if the power goes out, I won't lose them probably, but I'll just have 2 partial recordings. I won't be able to keep going Whereas this will run itself on batteries, and I would just be able to keep going, and it would still be recorded. Anyhow, fun things that you learn when you're trying to do a podcast. I'm probably going to do an episode where I explain to people who are not going to watch the video or listen to anything what mistakes not to make whenever you're starting a podcast, because everybody does it apparently, and nobody looks for the advice on what not to do until after you've already done it. So why am I screwing this up? You get on Google and you're like, why does this not work? It's because you should have done that before. You should have tried to anticipate what you might need, which is impossible to do because it's a new venture that you're on. And hey, I didn't do a podcast before. I don't know what any of this stuff is. I knew virtually nothing about audio equipment, even video equipment. I used to film things on my my Nikon D5000, which is a great camera, by the way. Back then, it's 12 megapixels, which wasn't really a lot by today's standards, I guess. It's a kind of a mid-range camera, but it was a great camera, and I used to just film my YouTube videos on that. And I had a couple of small video camcorders, that I used over the years. Some worked better than others, but now the equipment, 4K, 8K, it's all Ultra HD, and everybody's got an Ultra HD OLED or QLED, screen and it's insane what everybody goes through. And then I was watching this video where this person is recommending the cameras to use if you're going to do a 4K video podcast, and his recommendation was this $15,000 camera and lens combo thing, and I'm like, get at it. I backed out, returned, go back, go watch a video by a real person, who's doesn't have $80,000 sitting around doing nothing that they're going to invest in their new podcast. This is all stuff that people start doing, on a shoestring budget, I think they used to call it, but I had no budget. I just had a heart attack, and I wasn't even going back to work yet, so I had nothing that I was going to spend on this. So I started with equipment that I already had, and then I just wanted to upgrade because, you get into this thing, and it just needs to be a little bit better. I need to get just a little bit better one, and then maybe I need a little bit more storage space, and then I need this and then that, and then things go wrong, and you wind up buying more things than you need, and you got to sell them. So eBay store. Look for the Marshall Hart Podcast eBay store. It's going strong. Don't have anything listed currently. I'm going to be doing some more listings tonight. I'm going to get rid of an old PlayStation 4. Not because, it's not cool or anything. It still works fine. But, I upgraded to the PS5 a while ago. So, anyhow, tomorrow, I guess the big thing for this week is tomorrow's Veterans Day. So, if you have friends or family who are veterans, go ahead and say, hey, happy Veterans Day. Thank you for your service and all that. Go ahead and do all those things. That's actually the day for it. A lot of people get this confused with Memorial Day. Memorial Day is for the dead people. Memorial Day is aptly named because it's to remember people who are no longer with us. So just remember that Memorial Day is for the dead, and Veterans Day is, for the rest of us. So feel free to say, Happy Veterans Day to people, and thank you for your service and all of that. But don't get carried away or anything. Their heads are this big. Seriously, the GWAT just really expanded the cranium of everybody who ever wore a uniform. And they all think they're a bunch of, entitled and privileged little shits, mostly. I don't know. It's I'm not the only veteran who feels that way. And some of it's generational. I'm an older guy. So my generation, we weren't really like that. It was, I don't know. It was a different thing, a different time, different standards, different expectations. But every generation says the same thing, I'm sure. All the Vietnam vets thought we were a bunch of whiny little, children or whatever. we were children. We were all children when we first go in. You're 17, 18, 19 years old. You're all children still. Of course, back then, 17, 18, and 19, you were expected to be an adult. You were expected to be able to act like an adult and, behave yourself as an adult. And sometimes you did. Sometimes you didn't. Didn't matter. But anyway, yeah. Happy Veterans Day to all you guys and gals who served, who wore the uniform. I don't know if I've ever explained. I had a really weird military career, so it would be impossible for me to explain anything to everybody on a brief podcast on the end of a very long weekend. But yeah, I served in the Army, and then I served in the Navy, and then I served in the Army, and I served on active duty. I was in the reserves. I was in the National Guard in 2 different states. So I bounced around the military for in between Ronald Reagan and Barack Obama. So that's a long period of time in there where I bounced around from one service to another, one branch to another, and did all kinds of fun stuff. Did a lot of fun things. I enjoyed my time in the military, and I probably would have stayed in a little longer if the dumbass ahead of me hadn't changed his mind on retiring. Because when I ended my military career, I was in the National Guard, and in the National Guard, your promotions are based on positions that are available. And unfortunately, there was only one person in our state who outranked me. So I had to wait for him to retire in order for me to get promoted again. And he had already submitted everything. He was going to retire. He was going to retire in February, and my enlistment was up in February. So we had all been discussing it. Boom, you'll get your next stripe. You'll get his position because we need to move you up into his job, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh, sure, go ahead and we'll figure out something. Sign me up for another 3 years or whatever. And I had sometime in January, the dumbass decided that I changed my mind. I'm not going to retire. I think I'm going to do another 6 or 7. Yeah, obviously something happened in between there, and he decided he needed that extra income, or he needed the opportunity to volunteer to go back on active duty and have a steady income or something for some of that period of time. I think he did have a full-time National Guard position, but anyhow, all of a sudden my promotion, poof, it's gone. And I didn't feel like waiting another 6 or 7 years, whatever this guy was going to waste, sitting his fat ass in a chair, occupying a position that someone else could have done better. Me. Anyhow, that's what happened. That's whenever I got out. That's how mine ended. But other than that, I mean, yeah, everybody's military experience is different. But we all had good times. We all had fun times. We all had bad times. It didn't even matter. Even if you just served in peacetime, like back during the Cold War, you still had good and bad things that happened. People died, training accidents, things like that happened a lot more often than people think. And so there were tragedies even in peacetime for the military personnel. We still lose people far, far too often in training accidents. So I'm sure sometime last month, someone in one of the branches of the military died in training. And it's kind of it's a dangerous job. No matter what your job is in the military, it's dangerous. And you can say, oh, what if you're an admin, you work in the whatever. It doesn't matter. You still have to do all the same training as the other troops. You still have to do the shooting and the moving and the communicating, and you still have to do the traveling. You still have to be in the vehicles. So, and you still have to satisfy all those standards. So you're training to do the same things. It's just not your primary job. And so even just riding in a truck, can be the end, because if that truck crashes and you're in the back, you're kind of screwed. Vehicle accidents, even on-duty vehicle accidents, take a lot of lives every year, and overseas and at home. But there's any number of things that can go wrong when you're training in the military. And, myself, I narrowly escaped death twice, probably more than twice, but twice were literally narrowly escaped death. Once when the doctor was talking to me afterward, and he was like, "I shouldn't be talking to you right now," and I'm like, why? I thought he meant like I shouldn't be talking to you for whatever reason, like it was somehow inappropriate for this Army major to be talking to this private E1. I was an E1 back then, and I'd only been in the military for a few weeks actually, and he was like, "Yeah, I shouldn't be talking to you because you shouldn't be here. You should have died." And so it was just luck. Luck kept me out of it. A couple other times throughout the years in the military, narrowly, dodged stuff. So, don't think that just because maybe you guys served in peacetime or in between wars or whatever, it doesn't mean that they may not have some pretty bad thoughts or memories about their time in the military. Not everybody enjoyed it. But you have to admit that occasionally you had some fun, if you were into that sort of thing. I mean, I always thought it was fun. I thought it was all fun. I liked the rolling around in the dirt part, the being out in the woods part, the being an uncomfortable part, the being wet and hot and hungry and tired part. I enjoyed that. I don't know why, but it was fun for me. And of course, I loved all the shooting and all the training. And eventually, when I became an instructor and I was teaching people, I really enjoyed that. That was some of my best time in the military, was when I was able to teach other people. I really enjoyed that. But I liked it. I liked the hard parts. It was the downtime that I hated, the sitting around and the make work and the try to find something for everyone to do. And we need to go sweep this floor again. Or, we need to clean this stove. We had these stoves. Oh, I forget what they were called. Somebody's going to remember what they were. There were the big potbelly stoves that used fuel. And, it was dripping fuel in it that would catch fire. And it was like the most dangerous thing we encountered in the military. And that in a GP medium tent. And man, it was fun. But anyway, it was always something stupid like, we got to go do maintenance on the stoves and the tents. And you'd have to put up tents and take them down. And they were just having to keep us occupied because there wasn't any war going on. And when you weren't on duty doing something else, you had to do something. So they had to keep you busy. So we trained a lot. And we got a lot of training on first aid and nuclear and biological and chemical warfare, things like that, things that we were really concerned about in the Cold War. But, I don't know, I thought it was fun. And I didn't really think about it too much, but my parents we were all talking about it, I don't know, a year or so ago. And my dad said that, his big issue with basic training was they came to watch me graduate from military police school. And he said his biggest concern was whether or not they were going to get me to come home because I seemed to be having the time of my life and I didn't want to leave. And I really didn't. I didn't want to leave. I had a great time at Fort McClellan. And I don't know. For some reason, I always liked that. I liked the hard parts. And I was more at home being muddy and dirty and sweaty in the woods than I was, trying to be the soldier of the quarter thing. I did try that once. I went to one. I lost. So, but I was also one of those regulation weirdos. I knew all the regulations and stuff, and I could remember them. And so I would make a big deal out of it. And if somebody got it wrong, and, I was kind of an asshole, actually, when I was young. I'm sure a lot of people thought that too. But anyhow, happy Veterans Day to everybody tomorrow. The funny thing is all the veterans I know will be working because only government employees are going to get the time off. And I don't work for the government. And most of the veterans I know don't work for the government. So most of them will be working tomorrow while all the government employees have a free day off with pay. So I don't know. There's just some things that are just fundamentally wrong with how we do stuff. Yeah, because most of the veterans are not going to have a paid day off tomorrow, but all those lazy ass government employees will. I don't know. Hey, maybe Trump will change all that. He's not going to change it. He's not going to change any of it. I'm telling you right now, he's not going to change any of it. Okay, so, no hard stuff today. I feel okay. I'm tired. All right, well, a little bit. I worked out yesterday way too hard, and today I'm way too sore. And so I tried to take it easy today, but there were a lot of things I needed to do, so I did not work out today. Whatever I did yesterday, I did it wrong, or actually the only thing was I worked out hard as far as lifting heavy things. So I haven't done that in a while because heart attack. Hey, cardiac rehab. So yesterday was probably the first time since the heart attack that I pushed myself as far as how much I was lifting. I was just doing chest and tricep day. I did a little bit of curls just to, wake up my biceps and stuff. And man, for a while, this morning I thought I may have injured myself, but then it took me a while and I realized I just overdid it a lot. So we've been doing, hey, there's the behind the scenes camera again. What do you think of the t-shirt? I made that. I make all my own t-shirts. I think there's 4. I think I made 4 t-shirts. That's all. But it was fun to do. Another thing, I don't sell them or anything. They were just made for me so that I could wear them during the podcast and wear them to cardiac rehab. And then people go, hey, what's that? I've never heard of that. And then I tell them all about my podcast, and then they don't listen. They don't tune in or anything. So it's kind of like pointless. But it forces me to have conversations with people because they're curious, but they don't listen to the podcast. I don't know. Maybe they don't find me that interesting. I'm not really that interesting. So, but yeah, I was really sore today and all over the place. And so, yeah, overdid it. But tomorrow, back to cardiac rehab, 3 days this coming week, back to work, back to everything. And yeah, like I said, I'll be at work tomorrow during Veterans Day. Maybe traffic will be light, which will be nice. Not sure where I'll be, but I'll be at work. So, hey, everybody have a great week. Enjoy your Veterans Day. If you are one of the blessed people who get to have the day off tomorrow for Veterans Day, enjoy it. Have fun. Do something cool. I'll watch an old war movie or something. And, I don't know, say something nice to someone who's the reason why you get to have Veterans Day off from your job. And yeah, if you have any veterans among your friends or family, you tell them, for me, hey, thank you for your service. But like I said, don't get carried away and don't go overboard with it. A free cup of coffee is fine. You don't have to buy them dinner and do all this other stuff. Yeah, there's been too much of that crap. You made them weak. You made them soft. So, make them earn it. So, because that's what I'll be doing. I'll be earning mine tomorrow at work. So I'm going to let everybody go, and I will talk to you soon. A little more work on the studio space, the recording space, and then everything will be, back up to regular scheduled programming. And hopefully that'll be several times a week. But this week didn't work out. Only I got to record one this weekend too. So I look forward to doing more of it. I look forward to getting all of these issues resolved and coming up with more fancy things like behind the scenes cameras. See how it says BTS camera up there? And it's behind the scenes cam for the older people who don't know what BTS stands for. And, but that's what that is. Sorry for, if I make you feel dumb. But everybody have a good night. Have a good week. Stay safe. Train hard. And, get some exercise. Get off your ass. Get on the treadmill. Go for a hike. Go for a jog. Go for a really brisk walk. but that brisk walk has to be painful. So it needs to be uphill, and it needs to be at a very fast pace that you're almost jogging, but you're not. That's the only walking that's going to do you any good. And do some push-ups. Do some push-ups. You're weak. Push-ups. Okay, bye.